Heartstopper is such an empowering show.
I think it's made me so proud of myself. It's really made me see the bigger picture. I love being trans now. I embrace it so much. I never used to.
I'm so excited to have you here to celebrate Pride with Rain. Pride is so much about celebrating your identity, however you identify. And you started transitioning at the age of like 13, 14,
Yeah.
didn't you? How difficult was it for you to make that decision?
I mean, at the time, it felt like I was the only person in the world because there was no one around me that was trans in my area. So I was the first to come out as gay pretty much in my school. It was a lot of pressure, and it was also, I was so clueless because it was just not a thing. I spoke to Monroe recently, and I was saying how like her going on Good Morning Britain was like the first time I'd seen a trans woman sort of in on UK TV. Like it was just like it was unheard of sort of in social media until I sort of got older.
What was your coming out experience like?
It was hard. Like school was really tough. Kids can be mean. My parents were really good. My dad didn't really understand it at first, but it wasn't like he was against it. It was just a big shock to the system. And my parents actually divorced after I came out as trans, which was like a lot of like pressure on me to sort of, I felt like I sort of broke up their marriage, but now I'm older, they've sort of reassured me like it was like gonna happen either way. And then in school, it was very much keep my head down, keep going. Everyone would sort of make comments and, get a bit physically violent sometimes and call me names. And I think like I look back and I think I've sort of blocked out a lot of the memories, but it almost felt like I was sort of treated like I was like subhuman. Like everyone was sort of like at this level and I was sort of down here. You could get away with saying, even the teachers like would take the piss out of me and the class would laugh, and it was all very much, yeah, it just felt like I was at just sort of a bit of a lower level than everyone else really, which is not the nicest.
That must have taught you so much about how strong you are as a person, right?
Like, I always say that anyone who comments stuff on my stuff now, like, you can't offend me. I've heard it all. I have literally, like, I've been beaten up. I've had, like, indecent images of me leaked. I've had, I've gone through being left out, eating lunch by myself. My teachers, like, not being able to go to the right toilets. Like, I've gone through it all through school. I think I'm grateful for it now because it's made me who I am as a person. And I also feel like I can't look at it in a negative way. I think everything's a lesson in life, and the strongest people get the hardest stuff to go through.
It must be so interesting for you to sit here now as a 20-year-old and look back at the last like 5-6 years of your journey. Like, when you look back at that time, what have been some moments that have really empowered you? And what do you think have been some of like the biggest life lessons you've learned from transitioning, do you think?
Aside from my career, I think starting hormones was like a massive moment. And I also did that in front of a lot of people, moving out. And I think like stuff like wearing a skirt for the first time in public and, going to the girls' toilets for the first time and sort of changing my name and stuff like that. That was like a massive thing for me.
As being a member of the LGBTQI plus community, we are more likely to suffer with our mental health. How has your identity affected but also empowered your well-being, do you think?
I kind of tried so hard to fit in, and when I didn't fit in, I felt bad. And I looked at it in a way of like, if I look trans or sound trans or, I'm different to the people around me or I'm whatever, it was a negative thing. And being different wasn't an option. Whereas now I feel like I love being different. I think it was just, I got to the point where it's just about embracing who I am. And that was when I noticed the switch, when it went from sort of like no longer beating myself up for not being someone that I'm not. It's kind of sort of embracing who I am, and I feel like loving myself, and that's when it really changed.
I was reading some stats before this, which actually blew my mind, that, for instance, in America, there are more anti-LGBTQI plus bills passed in state law in the first 4 months of this year than any other time in history. And there's an historic surge in bills targeting transgender rights, and that's past a record speed of them trying to implement that. And how does that make you feel when you hear that happening and you hear about that?
I actually had this chat the other day because I went to the Attitude Awards, and in this speech, I can't remember the exact figures, but the UK were like 3rd or 4th in being the best country to be LGBTQ plus in. And now recent studies said we're like 17th or something ridiculous. And with the recent remarks of Rishi Sunak, and it's when your own Prime Minister is taking the piss out of your genitals that it really makes you sit there and think, like, we are really at the bottom of the food chain. Like, for example, Brianna Gay, who literally was murdered in a park at like 3 p.m. during the day. Like, and so many news outlets just dead named her. Like, it's like people have no respect, and it's gonna. I feel like now, Monroe was saying, like, it's sort of like it's got to the point where like our allies need to step in and help out, because it's clearly our voice isn't enough. I'm in a great position in my life, but there's so many people out there that aren't, in loving homes, and you know, they want to start hormones and or anything like that. Like, I can't imagine how they're feeling right now. They must feel so lost and so scared for their future. And I say that as a 20-year-old, but like, it's really like, it's getting really bad. And I just feel like if the laws that they're trying to pass are just absolutely ridiculous. They're trying to pass a law on us not being able to use the right bathrooms. And it's like, why? We're less than 1% of the population. Like, I don't understand why it's such a big deal.
I think it's just so sad to see a government and governments around the world other a section of our population who need our help the most. And we need to show such strong allyship towards the trans community, inside the LGBTQI plus community and outside of it as well. Mm-hmm. What would you love to see happen? What would you love to see people do to help the trans community?
I would love people to speak up, because I think so many times stuff happens and immediately I see all my trans friends post on their stories, but none of my straight, cis, white friends will post it. Or I just think, yeah, I would love everyone, because people call themselves an ally, but what are you doing to help? And I also think, looking into the LGBTQ plus community, I think we need to stick together and be a lot stronger. I think, you know, we need to start loving each other a lot more and come together as one. And because we are a really powerful voice when we have the opportunity to be. And I feel like we should really use that voice because it's needed. Do you know what I mean?
I am beside myself that you are joining my favourite show. Babes, I love Heartstopper so much. It's honestly, I love it. And you're going to play Naomi. How did this all come about, babes? You're going to need to break it down for me. Walk me through that audition process.
Like, it was a whirlwind. My manager emailed me saying, hey, like, I've got this email for you just to like recommend for you to just audition for this role because you showed your interest in acting before, and they just want to see if you would be good for this part. And I was like, okay, like, cool. And it had like a code name because sometimes with these auditions, like, they can't say what show is it for. And then she sort of called me back and she was like, it's for Heartstopper. And I was like, But I was like, oh, must be like an extra or like an essay, like just like really just like casual, whatever. And then I got an email from her, like a text from her, oh, can you sign this NDA? And I was like, oh, okay. Like I didn't really realize it was that deep of a role. I didn't tell anyone because I was like, if I don't get this, I'll be heartbroken. And two, was physically not allowed to. And then I was with my friend, and I got a call from my manager being like, hey, like, they just asked for your availability. And at the time, like, now I know that it means like they want to offer you it, but we were like, what does this mean? Do I have it? Do I not? And then my other manager called me back whilst I was on the phone to my manager being like, there's quite a few, being like, you've got it. And I was like, that sounded really like, you've got it. I was like, oh my God, like, the hell? And she was like, yeah, you literally go into filming. What is happening? Went into filming, couldn't tell anyone. I was filming in like the middle of Slough at like, and my friends were like, what are you doing? Like, you're in like some random like field at like 11 o'clock at night. I was like, I can't tell you what I'm doing, but just like know that I'm okay and I'm mentally sane. And I got to announce it in November, and that was like the maddest 24 hours of my entire life. I remember posting it and then just like I had a billion texts from everyone.
Not only is the show amazing, it's going to be so great to see your character Naomi have such a strong friendship with Al.
Yeah.
How important is it, do you think, to have two trans characters not only in a beautiful friendship on screen, but also be conquering the world, babes?
I get such bad imposter syndrome, so I just don't think it's happening. Like, when I was on set, I was like, yeah, they're going to cut me out of the scenes 100%. It's not going to happen. Like, I was like, yeah, just like, even now, I still don't think it's coming out in a month's time. Like, it's crazy. And like, I just think that I'm kind of taking it day by day. But it's so lovely. The friendship that you get to see on screen and some of the conversations we have is just so beautiful. And what I love about Heartstopper, it's just queer joy. It is so positive and happy. And it's no negativity, really. Like, obviously there's negativity, but it's no real harsh storylines. It's lovely. And I think it's so nice to be able to share that. And I think, you know, it's something that I can look back and show my kids. And to know that, like, I'm in a show that if I had 5 years ago would have completely changed my life is the most mad thing to me. I think I actually spoke to my media teacher the other day, and they did a case study on it in their year 12 media class, and she was like, you're like gonna be in the case study for my new year 12s in September. And I was like, that is crazy. That is like unbelievable. So I can't wrap my head around it. And because I'm little old me from a small town, I'm so excited to see where Yaz goes and where I go and the roles we get in the future. Yeah, I think it's be crazy.
Yeah. Heartstopper is such an empowering show, an empowering space. Do you think that joining the cast has ultimately given you a greater pride in yourself and your identity?
I think it's made me so proud of myself because I'm doing something that I've always dreamed of. And like, I think Yaz has taught me so much about embracing myself and embracing my body. And she's a great role model to me and to everyone. So I'm learning from her as well. It's really made me see the bigger picture. And yeah, I love being trans now. I embrace it so much. I never used to.